Are we live? Welcome to day 4 of Conscious Business Boot Camp. It is your coach Cami here. I'm going to check and make sure we're actually live because it seems like every time. There we go. Looks like we're live. All right, I'm going to take a moment here to share this into my Facebook group. The Facebook group is called 5K in 5 Days Challenge, and we are currently running the Conscious Business Bootcamp where we overcome imposter syndrome and we find out everything that's in the way of you making offers, making money today, and doubling your revenue so you can be 100K, a 6-figure business owner. All right, so if you're with me, go ahead and comment below. Let me know that you can see me and hear me. Looks like I am live. Beautiful. All right, so I'm going to share this into my group, and then we are going to get started. All right, so this final training is about fear of success. And what I think is so interesting about fear of success is it's something that you may not even be aware of a thing that's holding you back. So it's very obvious that fear of failure holds us back. It's very obvious that, okay, Lydia's here. You could see me and hear me. Yay, Lydia! And Lydia, welcome to Permission to Profit. So we're going to talk about how to continue this work together too, and continue to coach with me inside of my group coaching, which is called Permission to Profit. I'm going to talk to you all about that at the end. But I really want to give you some awareness today on the things that hold you back from actually making the money that you want to make. And of course, okay, hi Deborah, yay, good to see you. And of course, I'm going to share personal stories. I'm going to share client stories because I think it's really good to see, no matter where you're at with your revenue, these are the things that'll typically hold us back. And it has to do with identity, okay? It has to do with identity. So let's start with this. If you were to double your revenue, or if you were to make 6 figures, or if you were to make X amount of money, right? It's going to be different for everyone. But I want you right now to think about the amount of revenue that would blow your damn mind. And when you have that, go ahead and type it in the chat. Because it's going to be different for everybody. It just depends on where you're at in your business. It's not a big deal where you're at. The number doesn't really matter. But I want to know what number, if you could make that revenue yearly, would blow your mind. And then I'm going to start with my story, right? My story to getting to 6 figures. And then now what I'm doing to go to $1 million, right? Because it's the same work. Whether you're getting to 6 figures, where you're going to $1 million, whatever your next revenue goal is, it's the same exact work. So I'm going to take you back to my history because I think people forget, right? Very recently, just 4 years ago, I went full-time in my life coaching business. I went full-time in my business in 2020 after getting fired. I wasn't expecting to get fired. I got let go from my job. Now, they did offer to transition me into another role. It was just because my department got eliminated, but I wasn't expecting to go full-time. And then once I decided to go full-time, I went all in. And the way I went all in was I worked with a mentor for 9 months, that first year of my business. And she was my coach. She was my mentor. She taught me business strategy. She taught me mindset. She taught me manifesting. She taught me marketing, all of the things I'm going to be teaching you. But I know where you're at in your business. A lot of times where we're at in our business is we're like, I really want to make more money, but I don't have money to invest to make more money. So we're going to talk about that in a second because at the end, I'm going to be talking about the investment of learning the skills to double your revenue again and again, year after year. And I want you to really start thinking about that because these skills are teachable, they are learnable, and it's also very scary to make investments in yourself. But the reason why we want to make investments in ourselves is to get to that number that blows your damn mind. Because when you're in a room of other women entrepreneurs who are making the money, who are doubling the revenue, who are making more than you, my coach makes $10 million a year. $10 million a year in revenue as a service-based business. I paid my coach $25,000 This was in the 4th year of my business. This was last year. I paid her $25,000 to learn copywriting, sales and marketing, CEO mindset, entrepreneurship. And it scared the crap out of me. But had I not made that investment, had I not put myself on the hook for the investment, right, to be able to actually pay her that money, I cash flowed the entire thing. I didn't have to take out any debt. What I did was I learned how to sell and market better. And what that did was it got me to my number that blew my mind, which was over $100,000. I made $130K last year. In the past 4 years, if we collect everything I made $360,000 in revenue in the past 4 years. Okay? So I'm giving you these numbers so that you can start to see yourself here and you can start to walk yourself into being that person who makes that revenue. So I'm going to check your numbers really quickly here. All right, Deborah says, yes, I have a fear of success. Lydia says 250K would blow her mind. Deborah says 100K a year. Right now, 100K a year is fair. Okay, tell me what 100K a year is fair means to you, Deborah. I'm so curious because I want the number that feels like it's going to blow your mind. It feels magical. It feels scary. And you're probably like, well, I have no idea how to make that number, right? And then I'm going to walk you through the process and I want you to take some notes. And I even think this is useful to do some journaling on this over the weekend, to really think about it, to really consider it. But it's really just one question. When you think of your 250K self or your 100K self, I want you to consider these 3 questions. What does she think? Like, what are her primary thoughts? So what does she think? What does she do? So what actions is she taking? And then who does she be? Okay, and these are kind of tricky, especially the last one when you think, who does she be? Well, we're going to talk about that today. So let me tell you the story of how I got in 4 years to 100K, and now my plan is to get to $1 million in the next 4 years, right? So what is the process? You want to consider the scary things that you think you need to do in order to reach your goal. Okay? The scary things. And I'll give you an example. When I first started out in 2020, I knew my plan was to sign one-on-one clients. And because I was scared of the pricing of one-on-one, right? Like my pricing to work with me one-on-one is several $1,000s. Now, 2024, my price was much lower, or 2020, my price was much lower for one-on-one. But it took me 9 months of believing that I had the skill and the ability and the structure and the format to coach somebody one-on-one and that they would want to pay me in full. So I started working with my coach in January, and it took me until September. It took me 9 months to sign my first one-on-one client. So what did I do in the meantime? In the meantime, I sold a couple of lower price packages because that's what I could believe in at the time. So I think I was selling things for $333, $555, kind of lower price points. But what I was doing was showing up as the teacher, as the expert, as the person who knows what they're doing. And I was just pulling through any and all information that I had on coaching, and I was getting it into the hands of as many people as possible. And I was doing it on a live training just like this. I would do master classes, I would do live trainings over and over again, even if there was just 1 or 2 people, because I was practicing. I call this practicing your potential. So your potential is your future self. Your potential is what the potential is inside of you to create the life that you want, to have the revenue that you want, to have the lifestyle you want, to be cash positive, to have tons of savings in the bank, to be able to invest in things like a home renovation or a new house, to be able to invest in a new car, to be able to take better care of yourself with organic foods and maybe higher quality sustainable clothing, right? Whatever it means for you, You want to start acting like that now and thinking like that now and doing the things like that now and being that person now. So it's literally all pretend. In your mind, you have to use your imagination and you have to pretend that you're living that life. So here is the first thing I want you to think about. Think about a day in the life of 250K earner or 100K earner. Think about your day. Think about what it would look like, what it would feel like. And drop in the comments what that feels like for you. Gotta run. One of my kids' best friends is stranded at school. Okay. No worries, Lydia. We'll see you later. We'll grab the replay. Yeah. So I want you to think of how would it feel if you made 250K? How would it feel if you made 100K? What are the positive reflections you have? Does it feel abundant, spacious? And then what things would you be able to do? Is it like organic foods, being able to get a massage? Let's look at the positive aspects first and see how it would feel to have that. I'm in public with headphones. Okay. I love it, Deborah. So good. All right. Deborah says, grounding, yes, feels grounded. I love that you keyed in on this, Deborah. This is really good, and I'm going to teach from this. A lot of times when we think about our goal, we're like, I want to get to 6 figures. I want to get to multiple 6 figures. I want to double my revenue, right? Even if you're at $1,000 right now and you want to get to $2,000, that would be super impactful. If you're at 4K and you want to get to 6K, that would still be super impactful. But here's the place where we typically go wrong. And I'm glad Deborah put this here because it's really important. A lot of times we think reaching our goal will feel exciting. Like, oh my gosh, it's exciting. I won the lottery. And I actually want you to step out of excitement for the moment and into normalcy. Okay, so normalcy would be like, on a Tuesday, I just had 10K cash come into my bank. Or I went to the grocery store and I spent $500 on organic foods and it wasn't even a big deal. That's the part that I want you to get to is this, when you're thinking of your potential self, what would she think? What would she do? How would she be? She would actually be very grounded, very certain, sitting on the porch, hanging out with the kids, going to lunch with friends. All the things that you would do would still be the same things that you would do now, but there would be an elevated sense of abundance, of safety, of inner peace, and of groundedness. Now here's the good news, and I'm going to take you through an exercise today before we talk about my 6-month coaching program, because I want to make sure everybody gets the details, because this is the last weekend to get in on early enrollment. But I'm going to take you through an exercise. So if you're watching the replay, you can come back and revisit this. And this is the essence of what we need to do over and over again. So it is using your imagination. It's using visualization. It's using all 5 senses. It's affirming the thoughts that you'd want to think. It's feeling the feelings in your body. And so some people might resonate with meditation. So I can meditate on this. I can imagine it and feel it. Some people might resonate with, I can play pretend. I like to think of like creating a movie script. Because if you're creating a movie script, it can be whatever you want. It can be wildish and outlandish, and you can still imagine it. And then we go into the feeling of what would it feel like if you had an $8,000 month or a $10,000 month, or in one day you received $10,000 into your bank account, or in one day it was $5,000, whatever like feels like, whoa, that is amazing. And I want you to be really mindful of how you articulate this happening in your life. So a lot of my clients will kind of get caught up on saying, oh, it's so crazy. I'm manifesting everything I want and like life is so crazy. And I want you to let go of the word crazy because that vibration is dismissive, right? That vibration is like, oh, this is crazy. It's not normal. What I want to invite you into is it's absolutely normal to have everything that you desire. It's absolutely safe. It feels really grounded. It feels really expansive. So instead of saying that's crazy, you could say it's so amazing. It's so wonderful, right? That connects you to more of the God frequency. That connects you to more of the positive vibration of love and of abundance, instead of acting like getting what you want is crazy, because it's not. It is not. When you're in a community of women who are all going after these dreams and goals, it is just normal. So now when I'm around, when I'm networking, I'm actually like an awkward person now, because I am in such high level rooms with millionaires and multimillionaires and multiple six-figure earners, that when I'm just walking around in the streets and like I'm catching up with other business owners, they're like, oh, how was your year? And I'm like, it was amazing. I've made so much money this year. And I'll see them look at me like, what? And I'm like, yeah, like, doesn't everybody want to celebrate making money and building their dream and like moving forward on their vision? And the reason I'm like this is because I've consistently invested in coaching and mentorship over the past 4 years. There's never been a time where I have not had support in my business, which is what enables me to grow like this, which is what enables me to be like, yeah, of course I'm going to make $1 million. Of course. And I'm just in the season of this next 3 to 4 years of figuring out the how. So the who you are, who you're being is always going to come first. Always. Not the how. Most of you guys are doing the wrong thing and it makes sense why you're doing the wrong thing. And let me tell you why. The entire internet is set up to tell you you're doing it wrong. You need to be learning how to do social media better. You need to do this. You need to learn how to do reels. You need to do trending audios. You need to have more reach. You should do a YouTube channel. You should definitely do a podcast. And literally all of this program is telling you how you're doing it wrong. And so what you're doing is looking for all the how. How do I do it? What's the strategy? How do I do it? And then what you'll end up doing is you'll end up spending or investing like $300 here, $900 over here, $200 over here, $97 over here, and you're literally trying to bootstrap and budget your way to a six-figure business. And so what happens is you actually end up going down the wrong rabbit hole time and time again, looking for something outside of you to create the money, to create the how. And what I coach you on, and I coach you on this because this is what works, is when you decide this is who I am, I believe I can create results, I know I'm never giving up, I want 100K, I want a six-figure business, and here's why. Here's why it's important to me. Here's why it's important for the community. Here's why it's important for my clients. Here's why it's important for my family. Here's how it's going to help the planet and people and animals. When that is always at the forefront, you will always be able to figure out the how. There's a million different ways to run a business. Now, what I teach is let's get really simple and clear with a few offers, maybe one or two, that are at a higher price point, right? Because if we're just doing math, if you're selling something that's $33, it's going to take a lot more time and a lot more people for you to get to 100K. So we want to figure out a really good package, a really good price that feels aligned. And then every day we show up in service of others in the energy of 100K, in the energy of doubling our revenue. And then we literally take the actions every day as that person until we become that person. Okay? Yes. All right. Let's see what Deborah has to say here. Thank you for engaging with me. All right. Abundance and not care what people think of me. I really like that, Deborah. We're going to use that. Abundance. Yep. And not care what people think of me. And Deborah, since you're here, you can, any other fears that are coming up, it's really useful, put them all in the chat. Because we're going to talk about the fears too. It's really important. We want to see like, what's the good that can come from my six-figure business, from doubling my revenue? What's all the good? What's all the beauty? What's all the passion and abundance? And then what am I afraid of? We want to look at both of them. All right, Deborah says dream home. Yep, it's normal to make money. Yeah, I play pretend. Yes, it's normal for me to be around millionaires and CEOs and business owners. Exactly. It's normal for me to have a seat at the table and the respect and incorporate my views and strategies. Yes. And here's how it starts, right? If we want other people's respect, we first have to respect ourselves. If we want a seat at the table, we create a seat at the table because we believe that we're supposed to be at the table. So a lot of times we're waiting for somebody to invite us. And what I want you to think about is you create the self-concept, the identity, the belief in yourself, and then you create the opportunities. So I'll give you an example of what happened for me. So in 2020, early 2020, before everything went down, right, before we had any of the shutdowns, I was invited to speak for free, but it was a local women's group. It was a local business. It was for business women getting started. And I was invited to speak. And I said, yes, absolutely, I will speak for free. Now, anytime I speak for free, the energy that I bring is 10K energy. Now, in 2020, my brain still couldn't wrap my head around the fact that I would ever get paid 10K to speak. Now, I've landed $50,000 cumulative $50,000 of contracts for speaking and training and retreats. My biggest one was $18,000. Okay, they paid me $18,000. And the only way I was able to receive that, right? So in 2020, I spoke for free. I told the universe, right? I literally just wrote it down in my journal. My speaking fee is $800. And I don't know, I just made that up. It just felt right. It felt like I would feel amazing if somebody paid me $800 to speak. Now my speaking fee is $5,000. But at the time I showed up to speak for free, I showed up in the energy of, okay, I'm giving $800 of value. And then I just told the universe, like, $800 is what I want to be paid to speak. Okay? So then all of 2020 goes by. I shifted to online, which is what I did. I ended up finishing out the year at $27,000. Yeah, $27,000 in 2020. Then in 2021, somebody who saw me speak in 2020 reached out to me and said, hey, can you do this military event? And because I had been developing my identity of course I can, I was able to receive $18,000 into my bank account, even though my body was like, oh my gosh, what the heck? Oh my gosh, what the heck? What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. The whole time, my brain was saying, I don't know how to do this. But because I had built this identity of I'm a 100K earner, I figure things out, I always know what to do, say, and sell. People come to me, they love being in my energy, I always know what to teach. People love hearing me speak. These are thoughts that I had cultivated in it for an entire year and working with one of my mentors. That is what brought me the $18,000 contract. And then after that, I had a $14,000 contract. Then after that, I had a $9,000 contract. The only way I was able to do that was this part I'm teaching you. Is believing that I am that person now. And I started to act and think and believe and be like that person. And then the money actually came. Okay? So now, here's what we're going to do for you. You have some beautiful thoughts about this is what my life is going to be. I get the new house, the new car. I get to take care of my kids. We get to go on vacations. Like all these beautiful things. We get to give back to worthy causes that we love. And that's the good of it. Now we have this other part of our subconscious mind, right? This is the part that is kind of operating behind the scenes. And it's the ego and it's the subconscious that's telling us, hey, if you do this, you're not going to be safe. So a couple of the fears that came up, Deborah has typed them in the chat. So if these resonate with you and you're watching the replay, type them in as well. I'm worried about what people are going to think about me. Some people, this is one of mine, I don't know how to manage large amounts of money. Like, what in the heck will I do if $8,000 comes into my bank account? That was one of the things I needed to work on. And I have an answer for you. Right? I'm afraid people are going to ask me for money. I'm afraid if I get it, I'm just going to spend it all or lose it all. I don't trust myself with money. This is not the kind of background that I came from. My family's not rich. I'm not supposed to have this money. None of us have money. My family won't like me if I make all the money. They're going to think I'm snobby. right? Think about all the fears that you have coming up and what you think money, like what's the downside of having money. We really want to be aware of these so we can see them, feel them, sense them, and decide to move forward anyway. Yeah, worried I won't be good enough, my money management skills. Yep. This is really good. So here's another thing. A lot of times when we think of, I'm going to change my identity, we think we have to completely stop being who we are and become like a fake version of us. And this makes sense. And I'll be honest, like I've gone back and forth with this too, because when I see a mentor, I'm like, oh, they're like making millions. Like I should dress like them and talk like them, right? Like I think we all fall into that trap of like, oh, if I do it like them, I'll be successful. And I do think that is part of like watching your mentor, watching your coach, and you copy them a little bit because you're like, I think I just want to do it how they do it because they've got it figured out. And I think that is part of it, like of the learning process. But what I found out is it takes way too much energy for me to be a fake version of somebody else. So what I decided is anytime I would start slipping into that, I'm like, oh, I need to talk or be more like this other person. I came back to my people love me. They love the way I talk, the way I dress, the way I deliver it. And there's not one version of me that's better than the other. So for example, I'm actually a complete tomboy. When I'm not on camera, I am in my like sweatpants, I call my play clothes. I grew up in the country, right? I grew up without internet. Like I grew up catching frogs and hanging out with the boys and playing in the mud. But my stage persona is like this well put together person, but that's not who I am. That's just the market. That's how I've positioned myself in the marketplace because I want to keep landing $20,000 contracts. So the way I show up here, right, is just the presentation of the package. But who I am at my core, when I'm sitting on my porch drinking an off-brand Aldi, like I love shopping at Aldi still, right? I can make $20,000 a month and I'm still going to go shopping at Aldi. I can make $25,000 a month and I love thrifting. I grew up thrifting because we did not have money. I didn't have money for a lot of things. I got free school lunches. I only got like $100 to spend on my entire clothing wardrobe for the year. And we had to like penny pinch everything. I couldn't afford yearbooks, couldn't afford to go to the school dances. So like, I know that I wasn't in a deep level of poverty compared to a lot of other people. But for me, it was like, I definitely noticed that we didn't have as much as other people. And so I used to think, oh, when I become a millionaire or when I make six figures, like I have to be this person who like buys luxury handbags. And I realized I'm not a luxury handbag person. I don't care about those. What I love doing now, I still love thrifting. I still love getting a deal. It's fun for me to shop. So now instead of like actually going to Goodwill and digging through the racks for hours, I go on these apps and I find high-end name brand, like luxury clothing, and I get a deal on it. I use Rent the Runway. So I want you to see how you still get to be the person that you are, and you still get to have a lot of money. You don't need to like abandon who you are at your core, right? I love animals. I'm always going to play around with them. I'm always going to like go on hikes. I don't need to be dressed up like all of this all the time in order for me to make millions. And I want you to feel that too. Okay? All right. So here's the exercise I want to leave you guys with. And then we'll go into talking about how to continue this work since this is the last day of this challenge. This is what I want you to do every day. And I'm going to guide you through a mindfulness exercise. So if you're at a place, here's what I'll say. If you're watching the replay, pause it, sit down, get comfortable, get grounded, put your earphones in so that you can actually do this exercise with me. And if you're here with me live and you're like maybe distracted or you're somewhere else where you can't really do it, just come back to the replay and do it, or set the intention to do it as much as you can with where you are. But here's what we're going to do. I'm going to guide you through a mindfulness exercise where we'll do this for about 6 minutes, where we're going to bring in that energy of your future self, and then we're going to let go of any fears that come along with it. Okay, we're going to do both. And the reason I'm giving this to you is because I want this to be free for everyone. I want you to be able to do this work whether or not you continue to work with me as your coach. So I want you to just have this, come back to it again and again, do it daily, because this is what it takes to recreate your neural networks, your neural pathways, the way that you think, the way that you operate. Okay? All right. So let's take a couple deep breaths. Get comfy if you can. Put your feet flat on the ground. Now let's just take a couple deep cleansing breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. Close down those eyes if you're able to, or just soften your gaze. Intentionally taking a breath in through the top of the head, exhaling it down through the feet, in through the head, out through the feet, and one more just like this, in through the head, out through the feet. Now reverse the breath, coming up through the feet, drawing that breath up the body, and exhale through the head. 2 more, breathing in. Exhale through the head, top of head. And last one, breathing in through the feet, exhaling out through the head. Great. Now I want you to bring your awareness into the heart. And imagine here a golden shimmering light of white, silver, pink, gold coming into the chest and expanding that heart space. And as you breathe in, this energy is loving and kind and compassionate. It's expansive. It is creator energy. And as you're here, imagine coming into the space, this future version of you, your potential self, your guide, your mentor, where you mentor yourself. And imagine she comes into the space and she just has a seat, either to the side or to the front. And your heart is fully open now. And her heart is open to you. And as you sense, feel, and imagine, see if you can witness her and what she's wearing, how she's carrying herself. See if you can notice an energy, maybe a color or a sensation. And imagine your 2 hearts connecting here. As you connect with the you that has already created the result. And as you're here, maybe she has words to say, or maybe it's more like a knowing. I want you to imagine receiving this knowing. What does your future self think about herself? Just allow that sensation to drop into the body. And then staying connected to this potential self, asking her to transmit to you. What does she do daily? Just allow that vision or feeling or sensation to be received now. And lastly, asking your future self to explain to you in words or pictures or symbols, how does she be? How does she be in the energy and frequency of double the amount of revenue you have now? 100K, 250K. Beautiful. And just allow it to drop in as words or symbols. And now we're going to do an energetic practice of just bringing up all those fears. And then together with your future potential self, we're going to transmute those fears. So bringing to mind now in this safe container, wrapping yourself in golden light. You are safe. And we're just going to bring to mind those fears. I'm worried about what people think. I don't know how to manage money. It'll be too much work. I'll feel overwhelmed. People won't respect me. I'm afraid I won't have a seat at the table. I just don't know how. And it's okay to just breathe and feel. And with each of those thoughts, imagine them floating out in front of you. Each thought floating out in space. And just witness them here. And imagine a violet flame, a glowing orb in front of you that's purple or blue. And this will be your transmutation bubble. Transmuting just means changing into something else. So we're going to set the intention that as we place each of these thoughts into the flame, it is transmuted and transformed into love, into possibility, into compassion and nurturing. So with each breath, imagine gathering up those thoughts, placing them in the flame, and then watching them being transformed into beautiful butterflies. And they remind you of your connection to love, to spirit, to creator energy. And placing a hand or two on the heart, offering this affirmation into your being, either saying it out loud or in your mind. It is safe to receive. It is safe to co-create with the universe. The universe, source, God, angels have my back. I am enough right now. I have everything inside of me, including willingness to learn. It is safe to be paid to be me. Bringing those hands together at the heart. Bowing the head, just having gratitude for yourself for showing up. Wiggling fingers, wiggling toes. Offering an amen, a namaste, or so it is. And then gently flutter open those eyes. Gently take a big stretch, maybe a yawn. Come back into the space. And then let me know how it feels to have tapped into this vibration. Okay, let me know how this feels. And if you want to share what came up for you whenever you asked your potential self, right? What does she think? What does she do? Who does she be? You can type those in the chat here because those can become your daily affirmations. But here are mine, right? I was thinking about myself as a millionaire. I am fucking amazing. Was the first one. What would she do? Schedule, structure, follow through, right? Schedule, structure, follow through. Those are some of the things I'm working on to get to $1 million. And then, who does she be? For me, what came through was a river. So I spent a lot of time growing up in the mountains of Idaho, and there's this beautiful river there called the Snake River. And what came through to me was a river, right? Where some of the places are very slow moving, really deep, like still waters. And that to me signifies rest. And then some of them are just like rapids, like go, 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 go. So what came up for me was like, who does she be? She has these intense times of like, here we go, we're working on this thing. And then she has these deep periods of rest. So that is my millionaire self. I wanted to share that with you. That's what came through. Okay. All right. So we're going to spend the next 20 minutes or so talking about how to continue this work. And you already have so much available for you here just within the 4 days. But I want to talk to you about why you would want to continue doing this for 6 months. I wanted to give you a taste of what it was like to work with me, but I also want to be really realistic with you. The reason why you want to work in a container with a coach, with a community, is because of something called acclimatization. So a lot of times what happens is clients will start working with me and they might double their revenue in the first 30 days. It's definitely possible for you to come in, get the coaching, get inspired, get motivated, like take the actions, be in full belief, and create the result really quickly. But what tends to happen is your old self, your self that's scared, starts to doubt, and then you question, and then you're not able to keep up with either the workload or the clients or the structure or the learning curve or the money. You start telling yourself these stories that you can't keep making that money. So the reason we work together for 6 months is for you to continue to build that identity of somebody who consistently brings in 4K, 6K, 8K, and you know exactly how to do it and how to sustain it. So 6 months is an essential time because you can create the result rather quickly. I have a lot of clients come in, create the result in 90 days. But the reason we work together for 6 months is because we need to create a strong foundation of your self-belief so that you can continue to keep that happening and so that you can start looking at next year and go, great, I want to double it again, so that you can keep moving forward and thinking about your business in the next 3 to 5 years. Because what I see is the biggest challenge for business owners, especially new ones in their first 5 years of business, is they're so caught up in the day-to-day. So they're caught up in the delivery, they're caught up in the sales, the marketing, putting out fires. And the problem with that is they're not connected with that long-term vision, and they're not taking the action steps as if they were building a business for 6 figures. So what I help my clients do is actually slow down enough to plan for the next 3 years. So here's what this looks like inside of Permission to Profit. Now, if you're here and you're interested, now is the time. It's September 20th. We are in early enrollment. Early enrollment is closing on Monday. What does this mean? Early enrollment gets you a special price. There's a special payment plan and a special price. For you to find out what the price is, I'm only revealing this to people who are serious. And people who are serious about moving themselves forward in their business, they're going to take the action step of putting in their application. So if you are like, I want to do this, I don't know how it's going to work, but I'm motivated, I'm driven, I want to have the support of a community, I want to have a support of a 6-figure coach who can help me with my sales, with my marketing, with my mindset, with planning for profit, right? I actually bring in my bookkeeper to teach you how to actually manage your money. You're going to get breath work. You're going to get mindfulness practices. If you know, I want support and I want to double my revenue, and I know that I can do this myself, and I also know I could probably do it quicker by having consistency and accountability for somebody that's going to show up for me every single week, then I want you to head over and apply right now. When you apply, what's going to happen is I will review your application. I'm going to review them in order that you submit them. So as soon as you submit it, you'll hear back from me within 24 hours on the next steps. So the official start date of this program is November 2024. So we still have about 6 weeks before we get started, but the reason to do early enrollment is you get early access to coaching. So we're going to do bonus coaching calls in October. We're also going to have bonus breathwork in October. And as soon as you're accepted and onboarded, you get access to bonus money-making materials. So you can start using this stuff right away. You don't need to wait to make money. And here's the biggest mistake that I see for people, especially when it comes to like September through December, right? This later part of the year. I see so many people already kind of like giving up on their goals and being like, well, it's the holidays, I guess we're done here. No, we're never going to give up on your goals. You still have plenty of time. You still have 4 months, 3.5 months to make money. And so I want to help you understand the concept of time. You can create so much more than you think when you're actually focused on direct sales, direct marketing. What does that mean? Most of my clients are doing what I call passive sales and marketing, which is like, I have a website, I have a Facebook page, and like people can find me. That's not going to work, okay? Now that's great, wonderful. I'm so glad that you have a page. I'm so glad you have a website. But your job every single day is to communicate your value to the world. And this is very simple. You just go out and meet people, build relationships, right? Just authentically, having fun, giving value. And then the next step is like making sure people know what you do. And then finally, this is the part where people usually get caught up, is you have to make offers. Okay? You have to send out invitations. So I want you to imagine your business is a party and you're expecting people to come, but you haven't sent out any invitations. The frequency in which human beings need to be invited is much greater than you think. They are just busy. They're just distracted. They're getting marketed to all over the place, right? Like Instagram is sending them ads all the time. They're distracted, they're busy, they're running around with their kids, they're driving from here to there, they're getting home from work, they're making dinner. And so what I help you with in group coaching is whenever you're making an offer and nobody reaches out, whenever you send an email and nobody reaches out, whenever you haven't booked a consult in a while or you don't have anybody in your pipeline, I want you to always know that you have control over that. It's not the economy. It's not the market. It's not that like people don't like you or think you're not good enough or they're working with somebody who's better than you. That's never the case. What's happening behind the scenes is you're doubting yourself. You're slowing down. You're thinking nobody cares. You're worried about what people think. You think you're making too many offers. You're thinking you're annoying. You're bothering people. We need to clear all of that up. And it takes practice, right? Because you were not trained unless you went to entrepreneurial undergrad, which I only know one person in my network who actually went to college for entrepreneurship. Unless you did that, you were not prepared for the amount of sales and marketing that must be done in order to create your 100K or your six figure or doubling your revenue, right? Like getting to 5K months, getting to 6K months, whatever it is. You're not prepared for the amount of volume. Now, for some of you, what happens is you think it's way too much. You think you can't do it. You're like, it's just too much. It's too overwhelming. I just can't market that much. I just hate social media. I just can't. And here's what I want to offer. Your future self, who has doubled her revenue, who is working with ideal clients, who has a pipeline, who's networked, who feels really just like good about relationships and loves showing up and just feels playful and grounded and having fun in her business. She learned the skill of making sales and marketing inspiring and fun and compelling. And when you tap into that, you are unstoppable. Of course, you're going to make six figures. But the biggest challenge in the beginning of your business is you spend so much time in your meltdowns, in your breakdowns, in your self-doubt, and not feeling good enough. And anytime you are in that breakdown cycle and you don't have a coach, you don't have somebody to snap you out of it, you don't have somebody believing in you more than you believe in yourself, that spiral is just going to last for months and months and months. And the worst thing that I see happen is when that spiral happens and you're having challenges in your revenue and you don't have somebody coaching your brain and helping you with your emotions and helping you with a new strategy, this is when businesses fail. This is when business owners give up because they're like, yep, I guess I'm just not cut out for this. And I know you're not a person that's going to give up. So I don't actually think that you're going to give up. You're not that type of person. But I do know that you start to get frustrated. Where you're like, why isn't this working? I feel like I'm working so hard. That's the thing that we want to solve. So I want you to head right now, put in your application. Your application takes about 15 minutes. It's going to ask you about your current revenue, your revenue goals for the future, and it's just going to ask you about what you think you need help on, right? So we have 5 pillars inside of Permission to Profit. I'm going to break those down for you really quickly so that you know this is exactly what's going to help you double your revenue. The first one, spiritually aligned selling. So what I believe about selling is I believe selling is a service. So what I teach you is how to not be like sleazy, how to not feel like you're asking for money. That's never what selling is about. Now, there are a lot of people on the internet, right? When you think of used car salesmen, there are a lot of people out in the world selling in a sleazy, slimy way. And that's why you feel like that. Because you're like, I don't want to be that person. And I promise you, you won't be. When you're actually connected to your heart, you're connected to your vision, your why. And you're just really like, my shit is good. Like what I do is good. I'm really good at what I do. I'm in integrity. I do a good job. Here's why you want to work with me. That is spiritually aligned selling. You're telling them with confidence, here's why. And you're holding space for any objections that they have. Most people's objections, right? Time, money, energy. Time, money, energy. I can't do it because of time, money, or energy. When you coach with me in my group, you're going to learn exactly how to hold space for all of these objections. How to run a consult call. How to sit down and have a sales conversation, whether you do them in person or you do them over Zoom. And then you're going to learn how to evaluate that process without feeling shame, without feeling like you did it wrong, but really just getting really good at knowing how to hold space for people making decisions. Because what I see is 2 things. I see people when they hear a no, or when they do a consult, or they have a buyer and they're just like, the buyer's not really sure, 2 things will happen. They'll get mad and they'll be like, well, I don't want to work with people who aren't serious then. People need to see my value. And I'm like, no, your job is to communicate your value. There's no way for them to know how valuable you are unless you show them and demonstrate it to them. That's your job. They're not just supposed to come to you knowing your value. They don't know you. They just saw your profile. They don't know if you're good or bad. Your job is to communicate that to them. and not make it mean anything about them, not make it mean anything about you. So that's the first thing. I see people getting mad at clients and they're just like, I just keep having people who don't want to pay me, right? And we could solve that. It's a simple solve. Or I see the second thing, they'll turn it into meaning something about them. And they'll be like, see, I'm horrible. See, I don't have value. I'm not good enough. And they'll go down that spiral. So we want to solve that in spiritually aligned selling. And that's what we're going to coach on together for literally 6 months. That's the thing we're going to coach on mainly. Secondly is marketing the easy way. So marketing the easy way to me is a strategy, right? It's not a one size fits all strategy, but what I teach you is what is easy for you. It's called permission to profit for a reason. I want you to have permission to market in the way that feels easy for you. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you need to do Instagram lives or you need to be on TikTok. What I am going to coach you through as a group and individually is what is easy for you. What is your skill set? What do you already excel at? You do not need to become a fantastic digital marketer in order to double your revenue. You just need to be able to build relationships wherever that is, whether it's online or in person, okay? So in this process, my clients say when they go through this, that they have found that they're working so much less hard because they're not trying to be perfect for the algorithm. Okay, so we want to market the easy way so we can actually market more instead of taking so long and being in so much drama with the marketing. All right, so that was step one. Step two. Step one, spiritual aligned selling. Step two, marketing made easy. Step three, planning for profit. So this is where all of your money stuff comes up, right? I actually have some really fun spreadsheets for you that I walk you through because we want your brain to be ready for 5K, 6K, 8K coming into your bank account, and we want you to know exactly what to do with it. Because what I see a lot of times is people not being able to have lots of money come in because they don't trust themselves. They don't know what to do with it. So either they're over investing, right? And they're like, oh, I'm going to buy an Instagram course. I'm like, no, stop buying these things. Do not just keep buying courses. What I want to empower you to do is be an entrepreneur who has a very strong self-concept, who knows that they can solve problems and they don't need somebody else to tell them how. So this is ironic, right? Because I'm literally inviting you into my program. It costs money, but I want to tell you the difference between coming into a coaching program that talks about mindset and strategy versus one that just tells you this is how you're supposed to do Instagram. This is how you're supposed to do Facebook. This is how you're doing it wrong. Here's how to build an email funnel. The problem with that is I see so many clients investing in these things only to find out it's not the best strategy for them. They tried it. It didn't work for them. So I would rather you come in, get mindset coaching on money, on strategy, implement it yourself, come back and get more coaching, and then decide where to go from there versus listening to somebody else who's telling you how to be an expert in marketing. You're the only expert in marketing for you, okay? You need to be doing it in a way that feels good for you, or else you're going to get burnout. You're going to feel like you're being forced to do it. You're not going to want to do it, all right? So the third step is planning for profit. We have spreadsheets, and then we identify you as a CEO making decisions for your business, where to put your money, setting aside money for taxes, what are your next big investments, and making sure you're not over-investing just because you think you're not good enough, just because you think you need another tool, all right? I would rather you get really good mindset coaching on you, on your capacity, on your decision making, because that is always going to stay with you because you're always going to be able to figure things out. All right. Step 4, money, mindset, rituals. These are your daily, weekly, and monthly practices. So whether or not you consider yourself spiritual or woo-woo, I have a degree in molecular cell biology. I love teaching on the brain from a neuroscience background. And I have a whole list of resources on money mindset strategies that are brain-based. Now, if you tend to lean more spiritual, you're like, I kind of want to do some money magic, I've also got that for you. So we have both. All of those resources are in the group. I teach you them, and they're also as bonus resources within the group coaching. All right. And then lastly, and also most importantly, step 5, managing your emotions. So when you go after a big goal, when you are going to double your revenue, and that's your goal, and you're going to go after it, you're going to come up against all these things: imposter syndrome, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of rejection. This is why I talked about all of this on the past 4 sessions, is because this is what's going to come up again and again. And it's not a problem. It makes sense. You're supposed to come up against it. But the problem is when you don't have another person in front of you who is a skilled coach, who's trauma informed, who can hold space for you, when you don't have that, you will end up shutting down. You'll be in fight, flight, or freeze. And when you do that, if you're in fight, you're going to start getting mad at your clients. You're going to start getting mad at social media. If you're in freeze, you're just going to completely detach. You're going to disappear from your business. You're going to take a break, right? Fight, flight, freeze. The other one is you're just going to disappear. You're going to be like, okay, I guess I'm done, right? You're either going to freeze, do nothing, or you're actively going to disappear, not talk about your business, be afraid to talk about it. Those are the 3 states that are going to be triggered in your nervous system. And my job as your coach is to coach you through it and also give you resources. So that's why I include breathwork. We do 1 breathwork session as a group every month. So you can take your feelings, it's virtual. So you can take your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions, and you can work through all of them. So those are the 5 pillars that are guaranteed by the end of this program. You will know how to generate more leads, right? Leads are just human beings. And a lot of times I don't like talking about leads like leads. I like to talk about, you will know how to build relationships. You will know how to build value. You will know how to have sales conversations with people that don't feel icky. You will know how to manage your money, where to put it. You will be taking more aligned action, and you will be having less breakdowns. The length of your breakdown will be shorter. That is what the power of coaching is. So I invite you here, go ahead and apply. As soon as you apply, you'll hear back from me within 24 hours with the next steps. These are the bonuses. So if you apply before September 23rd, 2024, this is what you're going to get. You get special pricing, really special pricing. I'm not going to say it out loud here because it's very special pricing. I'm only going to be revealing it to the people who apply. Very special pricing. There's a special payment plan for you to get started early. You get access to bonus coaching calls before the group even starts. The group officially starts in November, but imagine you can already get started and start getting coaching in October. It's basically like you getting 6 extra weeks. You're going to have bonus breathwork sessions in October as well. And immediately when you get accepted, when you make your payment, you're in, I respond back to you with, here's all your resources. So you can get started listening to the resources, working through the resources, so you can start making more money now. Why would you not want to make more money now? Okay? All right, so let me address a couple other questions just so we have this for the replay. And if you're watching this here and you have any questions about the program, type it in the chat. But also, I'm hoping you're already going over and applying, right? I'm only going to take 10 women in this group. The reason why I'm only doing 10 is because I want everybody to make sure they get what they came for, okay? What does that mean? That means I'll be able to specifically look at your social media, see what's going on with your social media accounts. That means I'll actually be able to coach you live on a call. And the other value is you watching other women who are struggling with the same thing get coached. A lot of times that's even more powerful. So you being able to have this collaborative community of women together, that is something that's been so profound in my business. And I've built lifelong friendships and relationships from this. So as soon as you get in, you're going to get all of those resources. And the question I wanted to answer, because been a lot of people sending me DMs, asking me questions. And what I always say is, if you have questions, submit your application. If you submit your application, I'm going to get back to you. Then we can have a whole email chat. And if you still have questions, I'm going to get on the phone with you. I will do a full Zoom call with you for an hour. That is my promise to you. You do not have to sign up after that, but you will probably want to, because my coaching is powerful, and sitting with me for an hour, this has just been free trainings, but imagine being able to sit with me for an hour. I will do a consult with you to answer all your questions. But one of the questions I had was, how often do you launch this? First of all, this question is irrelevant. I'm going to start with, it's irrelevant because the question isn't, when can I get in the door? Like when can be another time that I could do this? The question I want to put back to you is, why wouldn't you want to start learning these skills and making money now? Right? Like, now is always the best time to double your revenue. Why would we ever want to wait to double our revenue and start learning these skills. And I have so many people, especially like at the end of the year, where they're like, oh, well, like this is the holidays, or like, this is just like not a good sales time. And I'm like, yeah, that's your thought. And the reason that's your thought is because you think that every year, and then that becomes your reality every year. And what I want to teach you is every day is always a good day for somebody to buy from you. Always. And so imagine if you could shift your business such that you never thought there were slow times. You were just like, oh, people are always actively coming into my pipeline. They're always reaching out to me. They're always connecting because people always want help from me. And the way you show up there is so much differently. So imagine if you learned these skills, you started implementing this, and then by the time January comes, you were already building momentum in your business. You weren't waiting until next year. And that's my answer. Like this group, I typically launch this group twice a year, at the beginning of the year, at the end of the year. So it's twice a year. Why would you want to wait until next year to make money? Makes absolutely no sense. Okay. Now, I know what the next question is. The next question is always, well, what's the investment? It's always the next question. And what I want to consider for you is to think about, what would the value be? You got to work with a six-figure earner who's built multiple businesses over the past 10 years, who's going to be there with you, skilled to hold space for your emotions, skilled to help you with business strategy, and skilled to hold space for you energetically, right? That's the intuitive piece. That's the energetic piece. That's the subconscious reprogramming and the energetics that's required for you to become the person. So if you think about, okay, I get to be with this person, I get to be in community, I get to learn the skills of sales and marketing, I get to learn how to hold space for $8,000 coming into my bank account each and every month. And once I learn these things, this is just who I become. When you think about the value of being able to double your revenue, what do you think that number is? I love to start there because I love for you to understand we pay so much money for college, it's actually ridiculous. If I could go back in time and not go to college, I would totally not. Because that's an investment that does not give us an ROI. I graduated in the time where the first economy crash was going, like in 2008, 2009. And they were like, you're guaranteed to have a job because you went to an Ivy League school and you're so smart and you on the dean's list. None of that shit mattered. I got a job making $10 an hour at the mall with a degree. So I want you to think about, there's so many people out there paying $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year to go to college that supposedly guarantees you're going to get a job. And there's actually never been an ROI on that. ROI means return on investment. Versus you spend 6 months dedicated to your mindset, to learning how to sell, to learning how to market. Every time you do that, you always increase your skills and your capacity, which always leads to more money. Always. Anytime you're working on these skills, like one of my first mentors said, you will never make the amount of money that you want to make until you grow yourself. So the amount that you're willing to grow yourself is the amount that you're going to be able to make money. And this is completely focused on mindset, your self-concept, your identity, and your strategy as a salesperson and a marketer. Because you came out here into the world being really good at what you do, but you're struggling with believing that you're really good, or you're struggling with thinking that you're the best, and you're having challenges with actually being able to sell and market the thing that you do. So that's what I'm going to help you with over the next 6 months. So think about what you'd be willing to invest. On the application, there's a question that literally says, what are you willing to invest? And we will talk about all of it. Whenever we get on a consult call, if you want to have a chat about it, we will talk about all of it. And I have pulled up the page here. I already have applications coming in. Just this week, I have already talked to somebody who was a yes. She's ready. She already got involved. She already got her welcome email. She already started working on the strategies that we're implementing. So you could literally start working on this over the weekend. You could start working on this next week. You could start making money. So here's what I want you to do. You're going to head to the link I have pasted above this video. You're going to put in your application. And then within 24 hours, I'll get back to you, probably even sooner. and we will have a conversation about everything that's going on specifically in your business, because I will only be taking 10 women, and I'll only be taking people who I think will be successful. So in order to be successful, here's the things. You need to be driven, right? Like, you need to have a desire to double your revenue. You need to be smart, or at least teachable or coachable, right? You don't need an advanced degree. You don't need a PhD, but you need to be willing to learn some things and implement them. And then the third thing is, you need to be willing to be wrong. This is really interesting because I work with so many perfectionist high achievers. All that being wrong means is you need to be willing to be like, oh, the way I'm doing this isn't getting me the result that I want. So I really want to be open to looking at this from another perspective so that I can get the result that I want, which is more money, more clients, and an easier way that feels doable. Okay? So for you, that's all you need, to be open, to be coachable, to be willing to learn, and to maybe look at things backwards, look at things upside down, and take on these new perspectives. And then, of course, I'm going to say this. I know all of you in my community are amazing and super supportive, but you need to be a supportive person within community, right? You need to come alongside other women and say, you're doing a good job. I'm proud of you. I believe in you. And you want to be the type of person who can show up not only to support others, but to raise your hand and be like, I need help. I need help. And for a lot of you, you're learning this for the first time in your life. And I want to be that person to help you because I was that same way. Independent, super independent, do things on my own. I'm smart. I can figure it out. And then I would try to hide my struggles. But I'm telling you, the longer you try to do business on your own, the longer you try to hide your struggles, the deeper and deeper you're digging yourself into a hole of not feeling good enough, losing your energy, not being able to sell, not being able to market. And that's the problem that you'll keep getting stuck into when you don't have support, okay? Now, go ahead and apply. I will address some more questions in email. I'll be sending out emails this weekend, but remember, you have up until this weekend to get the special pricing. You want to get it in before the 23rd. That's what I want to offer. You have time to enroll later. You could always wait till later. But why would you want to be somebody who waits till later to make money? And why would you ever let an opportunity pass you by when you can get in early? You could be an early, quick start type of person. That's the type of person I am. So I always reward quick starts. I'm ready to go. Let's do this. I'll figure it out later, right? If you're still trying to figure out the investment, let's talk about it. Put in your application. We'll have a conversation about the investment. I'll let you know the payment plan options, and then you can decide. Yes, this is something I can figure out, or no, it's not. You can always come in later. But I want to reward people who are ready to go right now, who are ready to start making money right now. And I want this to feel like the early Christmas gift that you gave yourself. You gave it to yourself. You gave it to your business. You gave it to your family. Because when your business starts making money and you can start adding that into the family, can you imagine how good that will feel? But remember, people that start a business, like, there's no business that you start up that has no cost up front. Now, what's amazing is, as an online entrepreneur, if you run your business mainly online, there's not a lot of startup fees. But the best investment that you can make is investing in coaching yourself, getting coached, having a place to go with your emotions every single week to help you get down out of your breakdowns. Right? All right, so I cannot wait to see all these applications pouring in. Remember, they're reviewed first come, first serve, so get it done today before Monday, September 23rd. I will get back to you within 24 hours with the next steps. If you want to have a conversation with me about it further, you want to book a consult, you've got to fill out the application first. You'll get all the details for the group, all the details for the calls, all the details for the investment, and we will go from there. But either way, I'm so proud of you all for showing up for this challenge. I know that you're taking action. I know that you're moving forward in your business, but just imagine what it would be like to have even more support, to keep this ongoing, to have us doing this together. I cannot wait to cheer you on as we move forward. Literally, I cannot wait to cheer you on. This is one of my favorite things, is to help you see how freaking amazing you are. So we'll see you all inside the group. For those of you watching replay, make sure you let me know that you saw this. Thank you all for being here. Have a beautiful weekend. And I will see some of you in the group in early enrollment starting next week. All right, everybody. Bye.